Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Student Pages Magazine. I'm your host, Gareth, and I'm thrilled to introduce Akins Subair and Chenée Taylor from the upcoming BBC drama Just Act Normal. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
So, I need to say that before we go into the credit, because I have watched a few of the episodes, and it's a genius production. So real congrats on both of your parts because you play your characters to an absolute T. What initially drew you to the script?
Yeah, so reading Tiana's character description, she really resonated with me when I read it. Not to the extent of, the situation that she's going through, but I could see bits of myself in her. Obviously, I read research Nat, research Janice. Janice's writing is just beautiful, and Nat's work that he's done previously as well. I just looked at what they'd done, what they'd written, and I said that these are people that I really want to work with.
For myself, similarly to what Chenée was just touching on there at the end, like Janice's writing is incredibly beautiful, and she has somehow found a way to make this story so, compelling and pertinent to the world that we currently live in. On a more personal level, how I was drew in via the role of Tion, it was just the vulnerability of himself. I think it's this dichotomy of battling, wanting to become this ideology of a man versus the biological effects of adolescence that he's going through, the fluctuating moods and all of the challenges that brings with it. It's almost like a hindrance for him to fully develop and figure out who he wants to become, like, so imminently. So I think just seeing that potential for development and being able to flesh out and dissect the challenges of society and the pressures that they put on young Black men, for me, it was a really massive appeal. Yeah, so I'd say that's what drew me in.
The interesting thing that I found most about the characters, which was really telling, is that obviously Tion and Tion each have their own individual challenges that they're individually working through. Like with Tion, you notice through your fantastic acting that there's that yearn for a fatherly figure within his life as well, who's almost always absent. And then you've got Chenée, your character, almost like plays the motherly figure, trying to guide the siblings into doing what she feels is obviously the right course of action to act almost as a protective umbrella. So have you found any similarities between you personally? I know you kind of referenced it in our previous question, but you personally and the characters that you actually play within the drama series, because there are a lot of very different elements ranging from mental health, character, family structures to dreams and aspirations.
With Tion, what you see on the surface, it may not necessarily be what you might presume. Quite often, we see, as I mentioned earlier, these societal pressures and stigmas for those who are perhaps fall outside of this conventional spectrum of, how one should present themselves. It's important to note that what Tion is going through is having an impact on how he is, as opposed to just him being in his natural state, so to speak. They're slightly two different things, but I think in terms of relatability, I suppose just how unpredictable he can be in that regard. He's quite a mysterious character in the sense that you don't know what he's entirely thinking. He can be impulsive, which don't think I share that trait with him, but yeah, just more so on the mysterious side, I guess. Yeah, he's a bit of an enigma. Yeah, so you don't know what he's gonna do, what he's thinking, what plan he's got up his sleeve to get themselves out of any messes. That's what I would say. We're quite similar in the way that we think. I'm a lateral thinker, so I always think outside of the box. Whenever you provide me with a problem, I'm always thinking, right, what's the most unique way to go about this, or at least the most creative way. I think that's where I would probably draw the similarity between the two of us.
Well, that's great because he is very much a fantastic character within himself. And Chenée, for you with Tiana, I mean, she gives so much as a character. So how about yourself? Have you found any similarities between yourself and her character through this process?
Yeah, so I am the oldest sibling as well of my two little siblings I have. So I think I drew a lot on my own experiences of what that means to me. Yeah, Tiana looks out for her siblings. They are the catalyst as well for a lot of the actions that she makes in the show. And I think, yeah, she looks out for them like they're her own in a way. And I relate to that. Obviously not in the extreme of the situation of the show, but yeah, that's how the relationship is with me and my two little brothers. I look out for them. I'm always making sure they're good. If I have to get them ready for school in the morning, or if I had to, then I would do that. And it just felt like that was something that I was meant to do. I didn't feel a certain type of way about it. You're the oldest, you look out for your little siblings.
No, no, absolutely, and I suppose with it for the show itself, because it does put a spotlight on the harsh realities of people growing up, both in impoverished areas, but equally those who are living through families who may be elements of dysfunctionality within them. How the importance of actually being able to spotlight that with the show, because I think there is a real clear, very important message that the show is kind of pointing out with respect to giving an insight into what actually does happen on council estates. Not all, but obviously that may well happen on council estates across the country with certain truth elements to it.
The story being so pertinent, I don't even think that precisely on the council estate, but the council estate is perhaps just a vessel or an example of a reflection of working class society. I think the siblings themselves represent not any one segment, whether it be dysfunctionality or, mental difficulties throughout these circumstances, but it's actually the contrary. It's their resilience, their loyalty, is so fierce. And, despite being in this working class society and trying to keep their heads above water and afloat every day, each and every single episode, each and every single scenario that they find themselves in, which are challenging, they show their resilience and they just show how fierce their love is for one another. And I think, at least from what I understood, that Janice is actually trying to convey that image and that idea of Black love. It doesn't matter where you are in terms of whether it be Birmingham, London, or any other area around the world, whether it be impoverished or not. You can also have dysfunctional families in, really well off and affluent homes and things of that nature. So I think the more, important and key thing to take away is just how relatable it can be. And I think Janice has done a great job of showing that through the lens of these young three siblings.
No, absolutely. And you're absolutely right to point that out. That's 100%. And I suppose within that, the last question I have, which kind of drives down that point, is around dreams and aspirations. Is there anything that you yourselves would like the audience to take from the series to put in place for their own aspirations and dreams? Because as you've rightfully mentioned, this could be anywhere in the world. It's outside the scope of whether you're in a wealthy family or whether you're poor, but actually the actual family dynamics could actually impact anyone. What would you like the audience to take from watching the show?
I think I'd want the audience to take just a feeling of understanding and openness to stories you haven't had before, stories that center people that maybe haven't been the forefront of media before. And yeah, just showing people a bit more grace, a bit more kindness towards each other. You never know what someone is going through behind closed doors. You never know what they deal with when they close the front door of their house and they're not in the world anymore. So yeah, just one of grace and kindness.
No, that's perfect, Chenée. And Akins, for you?
Yeah, I think similarly to what Chenée said, definitely showing a lot more grace and compassion within society. I think it's very important. I think seeing the journey that each character goes on, and again through that writing, you're able to see both sides of the coins as to why they do the things that they do. You might strongly dislike one character at episode 2 and have this huge want to nurture and look after them by episode 4. That's how quickly fluctuating this series can be in terms of balancing between the comedic aspect and the dark aspect of it. It's always about finding that balance and reflecting the realism of that situation. And yeah, just how relatable it is to your everyday average life, because I think we all go through ups and downs. And, as we both outlined earlier, these ups and downs, whether it takes the form of dysfunctionality within families or, whether it takes the form of figuring out adolescence, it's all very relatable and it's all very real. And I think the show does a really good job of that by highlighting those two mediums of it being, the comedy aspect, which is, much more lighthearted and easily digestible. And of course, the dark side of things, which we all, on a human aspect, we may find it a little bit more difficult to sit with, within ourselves. So I think by the end of the series, what I at least hope for is that everyone has this reflection within themselves and, of course, upon society, and how we can, do a better job of taking care of the select generations, whether it's the teens or upwards, because, yeah, this is a very peculiar circumstance, but it's a very real one, I'm sure, that happens all around the world, not just in London, not just in Birmingham, but everywhere. So I hope people take a lot of compassion from this story and apply it to their everyday lives.
Well, that's fantastic. And both your answers are fantastic and really insightful. So thank you so much for being so open and honest and sharing that. Thank you so much again for joining me today and for sharing your story. I wish you the most amazing success in all your endeavors that you do. Have even more successes off the back of this, because this drama series, as I said at the beginning, is an absolute phenomenal series. It's really fantastic. But without further ado, I will say my goodbyes.
Thank you, Gareth. Thank you so much
Nice
for
to
your
talk
kind
to
words.
you.
Thank you. It's really appreciated. Thank you so much, Gareth.